Hey guys, welcome back. Last week, if you didn't tune in, or you're new here, I reviewed the original Dragon Warrior on the NES, also known as Dragon Quest. And yeah, that game has not aged well at all. But as promised, since I'm reviewing all 4 NES Dragon Quest games, today we're gonna dive into the sequel, Dragon Warrior, or Dragon Quest if you live in Japan, 2. So let's get started. Development for this game actually began a month before the first game ever released, back in April 1986. And development wrapped up in January 1987. Yes, this game was made in just a few months. But it's way more ambitious than the original. The map is massively bigger. There's an actual story this time. And most importantly, you get a full party instead of one dude swinging around a stick at slimes. And most of the original staff return too. Yuji Horii as director, Akuri Toriyama as monster artist, and Kikiki Shimagami as composer. Yep, they all came back for a second round at Dragon Quest. So, did they make a better game than last time? Let's find out. So, let's get the plot out of the way first. This is, for sure, a true sequel, taking place 100 years after the first game. You play as descendants of the hero from the first game. And the story wastes no time getting started. The game opens with Moonbrook Castle being attacked by the wizard Hargon. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of torn on this cutscene. On one hand, it's great. It sets up the story and it's dramatic. And it's very ambitious for the NES. But on the other hand, why is the music in the first half of the cutscene so goofy? The king is desperately trying to get his daughter to safety. Demons are literally storming the castle, and the soundtrack is over here like, la-di-da-da, whimsical adventure time. I'm sorry, what part of Castle Under Siege by Demons screams goofy carnival music? Thankfully, once the king gets surrounded and dies, the music finally switches to something appropriate. Anyway, a wounded soldier ends up escaping the massacre and flees all the way to the kingdom of Maidenhall to warn the king before immediately dying. And if you check the map, these two kingdoms are not close at all. This man was mortally wounded, but he still made what had to be a multi-day hike across freaking continents. I mean, at any point during that time period, he could have, I don't know, maybe seen a doctor for his wounds? But no, he decided the optimal strategy was walk across the continent, deliver a warning to the king, then dying immediately after. So, once the king gets news about Hargon, he wants to go beat the guy himself. But he's too old, so he sends you to do it. And you can name yourself whatever you want in this game, because unlike the original Dragon Quest, the name doesn't affect your stats. So naturally, I named him Troy, because if I'm gonna save the world, I want full credit. And with that, we're off to gather our royal cousins and to kick Hargon's ass. So the first of our royal cousins we need to recruit is the Prince of Cannock, Numo. Simple enough, right? We just gotta walk to the castle of Cannock, talk to him, and boom, party member. Except, no. See, we get to Cannock Castle, talk to the king, and he tells us, oh yeah, my son, he already left. He went to the Spring of Bravery. Why? Apparently, the Spring of Bravery is some kind of magical bath that guarantees victory or something. I'm not entirely sure, but I do know that Numo decided he needed a spa day before saving the world. So, we head to the Spring of Bravery, talk to the old man there, and he tells us, oh, the prince went back to Maidenhall to look for you. Great! So we walk all the way back to Maidenhall Castle, talk to our dad, and he says, oh, he was here, but when he didn't see you, he went back towards Cannock. So, back towards Cannock Castle. And where do we finally find him? In an inn in the town of Leafwindeye? Yeah, I can't pronounce that. Anyway, it's a town between Cannock and Maidenhall. And I don't even know which kingdom this place belongs to, because the borders in this game aren't exactly clear. But there he is, chilling at an inn, like he's on vacation. So, we talk to him, he joins the party, and if you thought this wild goose chase was bad, oh, trust me, you ain't seen nothing this game has to offer yet. Also, quick side note, even though this is the plot summary, I have to point this out. When you do recruit him, he's on level 1. So the first thing you gotta do as soon as you get him is grind with your new royal cousin until he's something resembling a functional party member. Next up on our royal scavenger hunt is our other cousin, Princess Roz of Moonbrook. To reach her, we take an underwater passageway because apparently boats are overrated. And the developers decided, nah, let's put a secret tunnel under the ocean. That's 100% normal. We then pop out on the other side of the channel and make our way to the town of Moonhan. And right away, something is off. There's a dog following us around. It's cute, but suspicious. Then we head to the ruins of Moonbrook Castle, where you can talk to the ghosts of the king and his soldiers. One of the ghosts is still panicking and saying that Hargon is coming to kill them. And it's like, dude, you're already dead. What's Hargon gonna do? Kill you again? Anyway, we talk to the ghost of the king, and he basically tells us, yeah, his daughter was turned into a dog. Which honestly, in this game, not even the weirdest thing that happens. So, and if you talk to the other spirits, they mention that you'll find the Mirror of Ra that will break the curse. Which is funny, because last I checked, we are very, very far away from Egypt. But sure, let's roll with it. So we grab the mirror, show it to the dog, and boom, she transforms back into the princess. And with that, our full party is finally assembled. So, what's next on our royal to-do list? Glad you asked. Because next, we have to head all the way back up north to get the silver key from the lake cave. What does the silver key do? Well, it lets us open locked silver doors. Because I'm sure every single silver door in the entire world was made by the same manufacturer. And they made one universal silver key for every single one of them. That is totally realistic. Once we got that, we then head south to the Tower of Wind. And this place is huge. It's a full multi-floor dungeon. We go here just to get one item, the Cloak of Wind. And what do we use the Cloak of Wind for? Oh, nothing major, just jumping off another tower. Yes, really, you climb up this other tower, equip the cloak, and just jump off the top so you can float across the river. Because, don't you know, bridges are just too simple. And how are you supposed to know to do this?
Good question.
I have no idea. I had to use a guide. If you figured this out on your own, congratulations. You're either a super genius or you were a very bored child back in the late 1980s. Anyway, after our little base jumping adventure, we head to the port town of Rippleport, where we save a girl from being attacked by monsters. Her grandfather is so grateful for us doing this that he lets us use his ship. And just like that, most of the world map is now open to us. So naturally, the first place I stop by is a completely optional spot, but I want to talk about it anyway. This game marks the debut of the World Tree, known as Yggdrasil. Or is it Jigdazil? Or Jig Diesel? I don't know how to pronounce it. But apparently this tree is a very big deal in Dragon Quest lore. So you go to this island where the tree is on, and you can pick a leaf from it. And what does the leaf do? It's the only item in the entire game, to my knowledge, that can revive dead party members without going to the House of Healing. There is also a spell that revives party members called Revive, but you don't get that till near the end of the game. But for whatever reason, you can only carry one leaf at a time. Why? I have no idea. But it's still worth grabbing one and making sure to have one on you at all times, when possible, just in case. And while we're around the tree, there's an island nearby that has the sun crest on it. So we might as well grab it. What's it for? You'll find out later. Next, we head to the town of Zuhan, and this place is interesting. It's a town full of lonely women, old men, children, and dogs. And you're probably wondering, where are all the young, fit, able-bodied men? Great question. They're all out fishing. Yes, every single one of them. The entire male population decided to go on a fishing trip at the exact same time, leaving the elderly, the women, the kids, and the dogs to run the town. Peak decision making right there. Anyway, there's a dog here you can talk to, and he'll show you where the golden key is buried. So what do we need the golden key for? Well, in the far west, there's a town. Except there isn't a town. Bear with me. When you go to the place where the town's supposed to be, there's just a guy standing outside with his dog, wondering where everyone went. He thinks his breath drove everyone off, when in actuality, he's not in the town. You see this door right here? You unlock it and discover that the town is actually underground. And depending on the version of the game you're playing, it has different names. It can go by Wilgarth, Burrowell, or Paparoy. But I'm just gonna call it Welgarth. And once inside, because we have the golden key, we can open a bunch of locked doors, including one that lets you barge into a women's hotel room. And let me tell you, the woman in that hotel room is not happy about it. And honestly, she has a point. We probably shouldn't be unlocking random doors, because as fun as it is, the real goal here is getting the jailer's key. And where do you get it? From a completely random vendor. And no, you don't buy an item labeled jailer's key. Oh no, you buy the blank spot in his inventory. Yes, the blank spot. How are you supposed to know that the blank spot is the jailer's key? You're not. You just have to guess. Or be a smart, evolved human and look up a guide on the internet. Once you have the jailer's key, you head to the jail, where a thief named Rogue Fastfinger is locked up. And this guy has the Watergate key. And the jailer claims he already escaped, but guess what? He didn't. The thief's just hiding in the corner of his cell in the shadows. Just talk to the wall, you will find him, and he'll give you the water key. And then, because we left his door open, I'm assuming he runs off to continue his crime spree. But hey, we got our plot important item, so who cares? And if hearing me ramble about grabbing random important items is boring you, don't worry, the game is about to shake things up. Our next objective is to go to the kingdom of Ostrafair, where we talk to the king, and he tells us if we entertain him, he'll give us something cool. Sounds epic, right? So we walk into the arena, and we can see our opponent, a cute little dog. Adorable, harmless, 10 out of 10, would pet it. Except the moment the battle starts, that cute little dog suddenly becomes a saber-toothed tiger. Yes, the overworld sprite is a cute dog. The battle sprite is a deadly prehistoric murder cat. If I had to guess, this was done to conserve memory. NES cartridges were tiny. Most of them were around 128 to 384 kilobytes. Yes, kilobytes. And some of them were even smaller. Now, later NES games, like Dragon Quest IV of all games, hit a whopping 1 megabyte. But even that isn't that much to work with. So yeah, if I had to guess, that's going to be the reason behind this graphical mishap. Anyway, once you beat this thing, the king gives you the Moon Crest. Yet another random plot item we'll need later. And with that, our collection of mysterious, magical MacGuffins continues to grow. And I mean, come on, this is getting absolutely ridiculous. So next on our shopping list of random plot items, we head back to the town of Hamlin. With the golden key and the jailer's key in hand, we open a random door, go down some stairs, open another random door, and fight 2 monsters in a random prison cell. Beat them, search the corner of the cell, and boom, we find the water crest. How are you supposed to know to do this? You're not! The game basically expects you to wander around, smashing your face into every wall until you find something. Next on our list is the Star Crest, which is located in a lighthouse on an island in the middle of the ocean. You go inside, explore for a bit, and then you see what looks like a little gremlin. Naturally, you follow it because in Dragon Quest II, following suspicious creatures is apparently the correct thing to do. And when you go into the next room, which it ran to, instead of finding a gremlin, you find an old man who says he knows your mind well and knows where the crest is. So, of course, we follow him. What could possibly go wrong? He leads us to a chest, and after we open it, surprise!
It's a trap!
We get ambushed by 4 gremlins. Thankfully, they're not that hard to beat. After the fight, we finally get the Star Crest.
This will make a fine addition to my collection.
So next on our shopping list is the Moon Fragment. How do we get the Moon Fragment? Well, first we head to the town of Toon and use the Watergate key. Yeah, remember that thing we got from Rogue Fastfinger earlier in the game? Yeah, this is what it's used for. To open the Watergate and open up the river. This lets us sail down the newly opened waterway to the Moon Tower, where we climb in, grab the Moon Fragment, and you're probably wondering what we need the Moon Fragment for? Glad you asked, because now we gotta go to an undersea cave, or rather, a cave in the middle of the ocean that the game calls an undersea cave. And honestly, this place is actually pretty cool for an NES game. Turns out this place used to be an ancient volcano that rose up ages ago, which explains why there's lava everywhere in the cave. It does not explain why people are casually hanging out in here like it's a perfectly normal place to live, but okay, I guess that's just a thing. Anyway, at the end of the cave, we run into a group of clown wizards who are very upset that we broke into their lava-filled bachelor pad. And I'm just confused. Like, this is where they live? This lava cave? Okay, man. Live your truth, I guess. They also threatened to turn us into frogs for trespassing, which, honestly, is pretty funny. Like, of all the curses they could have thrown at us, they went with frogs. Well, it's not ideal, but I'm sure they could have come up with something better. Once we beat them, we get the Eye of Malroth, which is absolutely essential for beating the game. So that's another dungeon down, another random magical MacGuffin acquired. The next thing we need to grab is the Life Crest, which is located in the Cave of Roan. How do we get there? Well, that's what we need the Eye of Malroth for. We head to the town of Burna, take the travel gate behind the town, and end up in this mountainy, swampy area. Then we use the Eye of Malroth in a swamp, because, of course, it's a random swamp, and the mountains magically open up so we can enter the cave. Once inside, we explore a little bit, and boom, you get the life crest. And by the way, the Cave of Roan is extremely difficult. This place is full of powerful enemies that will absolutely kick your teeth in if you're not careful. Oh, and there are trapdoors everywhere, by the way. Can you see the trapdoors? No. Can you predict them? Also no. It's just trial and error. Just walk around and hope you don't fall through the floor like an idiot. But once you have the life crest, that's all 5 crests. So, we leave the cave, head to the middle of the ocean, and visit the Shrine of Rubus. Why do we have to go here? Because now that we have all 5 crests, we can talk to the disembodied voice of the enchanter Rubus. Turns out he promised Erdrick a long time ago that he'd help his descendants in their time of need. So, he gives us the Charm of Rubus, which we will need later. So, what do we do now? Well, there's only one major area left in the entire game, Roan. So, how do we get to Roan? We go back to the Cave of Roan, travel through the most difficult dungeon in the entire game, again, fight some of the most overpowered enemies imaginable, endure an obnoxious encounter rate, and eventually make it out on the other side into the snowy wasteland of Roan. This is where the final boss is. But don't charge straight to Hargon yet. You need to be properly leveled because this place is the best grinding spot in the entire game. There's a shrine here with an old man who will heal you and revive your entire party for free. And also, he'll save your game for you. You can literally walk outside, grind for levels, walk back in, heal, save, and repeat. And if you die, you just respawn right back at the old man. If I were you, that's exactly what I'd do when you reach this point in the game. Because the enemies here are obnoxious, and you need to be very powerful to survive the final gauntlet. But once you're leveled up enough, you can go challenge Hargon. But before you even reach him, you have to fight 3 bosses in his castle. And no, these aren't recycled bosses you already beat. They're original bosses that you can only fight in the castle. So I'll give the game credit for that. Then you fight Hargon himself. And by the way, this is the first time you actually see Hargon. Yeah, this entire game, you've been hearing about Hargon and about all the destruction he's causing and seeing some of it firsthand. And the fact that he's wanting to resurrect some god of destruction called Malroth. But this is the first time he actually shows up in person. And you can actually tell him you don't know who he is, and he gets pissed off and takes it as a sign of disrespect. And honestly, I think it's pretty funny. But after you beat Hargon, he summons Malroth, the true final boss. He's the guy Hargon's been working for. But let me just rephrase this so you understand. You have to fight 3 bosses, then Hargon, then Malroth, back to back to back to back. Yes, you can heal between fights, but you have limited MP, limited items, and did I mention limited inventory space? Now, I've heard that if you die on one of the bosses, as long as you don't reload the game, you don't have to redo the ones you've already beaten. I didn't have to test that myself, because I managed to beat all 5 in one go. But still, as a general rule of thumb, you do not make the player fight a bunch of bosses back to back to back. It's just bad game design in my opinion. Anyway, after you defeat Malroth, the day is saved, and just like in Dragon Quest I, you can wander around the world, talking to people, and they'll thank you and react to Hargon's defeat. There are also no more enemy encounters, so you can explore as much as you want. And then the game ends when you return to Maidenhall Castle, where you are declared the new king. Roll credits! So, after playing Dragon Warrior 2, what do I think? Honestly, it's better than Dragon Quest 1. I really wasn't expecting that. There's a little more to the story this time. Not a lot, but enough to where it feels like there's at least some rhyme and reason to what you're doing. It's still nowhere near groundbreaking RPG storytelling, but it does just above the bare minimum. And hey, that's still an upgrade from the first game. Take your party members, for example. I can count exactly 2 times these people speak. When you first recruit them, and at the very end of the game. And even then, at the end of the game, you have to choose to talk with them at the end. The rest of the time, they're silent. Not a word. But there's also a ton of optional content. And that's where Dragon Warrior 2 really shines. Some of my favorite side quests include visiting Alfgard, the entire continent from the first Dragon Quest. There's no plot important item here, no mandatory quest, nothing you need to do, but if you go, you'll find some interesting things. First, you could talk to the Dragon Lord's grandson, which raises the obvious question.
But how? And why? And who did what with whom?
I don't even want to think about it too hard. But surprisingly, he's kind of an ally. He'll tell you how to reach Hargon's castle using the 5 crests, not because he likes you, but because he wants you to beat Hargon so he can conquer the world later. You gotta respect that honesty. And if you come back after defeating Hargon, he'll actually be friendly and say he wants to let bygones be bygones and just be friends with you. And honestly, that's pretty cool. You can also talk to the King of Alfgard, who is an absolute coward. He's not sitting on his throne. No, he's hiding in the top floor of a weapons shop, which is just absolutely pathetic. Another optional quest is getting the Thunder Staff, and it's a pretty weird quest. You have to go to Maidenhall Castle, go into a jail cell, and you'll find this clown. Why is this clown in prison? I have no idea. But you beat the crap out of him in battle, and you get the Thunder Staff. It's a nice optional weapon, and a interesting detour. Then there's the pirate ship, the Relentless, which you can salvage the treasure out of if you can find it. Now, the best part about the quest is the fact that the pirate ship sank because the pirates forgot to put the drain plug in. Yes, that is the reason the pirate ship sank. And I find it absolutely hilarious. Now, none of those side quests are required to beat the game, but I thought they were worth pointing out because I thought they were funny. Next up, let's talk about the combat, which I have mixed feelings on. It works a lot like Dragon Quest 1, but now you have 3 party members. And while there are some quirks, like if all 3 characters target the same enemy at once, and the first character kills it, the other 2 just swing at the air like idiots. But that's more of an early RPG design quirk than a real flaw. Inventory space is also limited, but each character has their own slots. Some people might like the old school feel, some might not. Personally, I prefer unlimited inventory, but it's not a deal breaker. But the real standout is the difficulty. Basic enemies stay dangerous for most of the game. You can't just mash attack and win. You actually have to use strategy. Buffs matter, debuffs matter, magic matters, and if you don't engage with the mechanics, you're going to get flattened. And people say this game has one of the worst level grinds in RPG history. But here's the thing. Other than when I got new characters, I actually didn't have to grind that much throughout the game. As long as you understand how the magic works and are willing to use stat buffs and debuffs on the enemies, the game will be challenging, yes, but it does feel fair most of the time. Emphasis on most of the time. This is an NES RPG after all, so there are moments that feel like bullshit, such as Hargon's Castle. And to finish out this review, let's talk about the music, because once again, I gotta bring it up. I did not like this game's soundtrack. Look, I get it, it's on the NES, but I like Zelda's soundtrack, and I like Mega Man's soundtrack. It is absolutely possible for me to like NES music. It's not the hardware, it's just, I don't like this soundtrack. Maybe it's personal preference, because I'm not a huge fan of classical music, but Dragon Quest II's soundtrack just didn't do anything for me. No offense to the composer, it just isn't my style. And honestly, that's all I really have to say about it. Overall, Dragon Warrior 2 was a decently fun game. It's definitely better than Dragon Quest 1, even if it has plenty of rough edges. The story is simple, the characters barely speak, and the game loves throwing random plot items at you, like it's a magical scavenger hunt. But the optional content is fun, the combat is surprisingly strategic, and the world is huge for an NES title. And if you're willing to use a guide, and trust me, you should, there's a lot to enjoy here. And I think we should be wrapping this up. Next Saturday, I'll be reviewing Dragon Quest III. And I'll probably be using a fan translation if I can get one working. If not, I'll just use the Game Boy Color version as a last resort. And if you like the video and want to support the channel, well, like, subscribe, and comment, and all that other good stuff. But seriously, comment down below if you have any really good memories or crazy stories of Dragon Quest II, because I love reading comments, and I would just love to hear about this game from people who actually played it back in the day. And as always, I'll end the video with a trailer for a game my studio is working on. As of the uploading of this video, my studio's upcoming RPG, Myths and Monsters, will be releasing in July. And if you're a fan of Dragon Quest, it might be something worth checking out. There's also a Steam page up for the game if you want to wishlist it on Steam, as well as a demo available for it on itch.io. Links to both will be in the description. So, see you next time! This is Troy Schultz, the Anti-Gamer Slayer, signing off. Hey, you! Yes, you! Doom Scroller! Do I have the thing that's absolutely gonna test your attention span? First off, this RPG has no voice acting! None! Zero! You actually have to read, which already disqualifies half the internet from playing it. And the combat? Yeah, you can't just mash attack and pray. Try that here, and you'll be staring at the game over screen in no time if you don't use your brain. The game doesn't hold your hand either. It's hard, like actually hard. The kind of hard that makes you question your life choices. World map? Pfft! Who needs a world map? You get a compass. It shows your coordinates. I hope you wrote down where you were supposed to go when the NPC told you. If not, too bad. Figure it out, chump. Myths and monsters. If your brain's been asleep for a decade, it's about to get a wake-up call.